Hi, I'm Chris McCoy. Welcome to the Memphis Flyer podcast. Every week we jump on here to tell you what's going on in the paper and what's going on in Memphis. And this week I have a legend himself, Mr. Jon Sparks, here with me. Thank you so much for joining me this week.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here. I don't know about that legend business, but
well,
it's kind of you.
You are to me. So that's the important part. Yeah, how long have you been with the Flyer and contemporary media?
Oh yeah, contemporary media since about 2017 or so. I had worked for the Commercial Appeal for 25 years, and then I worked freelanced for them for another several years. And the last freelance thing I sent in, the day after, they sent a note out to everybody saying we are no longer paying for freelance work.
Oh.
And that was the day I started here. So
just scooched right over.
It was kismet, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you got the cover this week.
I did.
It's about the WLOK Stone Soul Picnic, right?
Yes, indeed.
Tell them about it.
Oh, the Stone Soul Picnic is, I really call it kind of an institution in Memphis because it has been around for 50 years. This will be their 50th anniversary. And how many things have lasted 50 years?
Yeah, for real.
In this town. So it's very much an institution. And I also interviewed James Alexander of the Barkays. The Barkays are the headliner act. The Barkays are a legend. Speaking of real legends.
Speaking of legends.
So you have a legend performing at an institution. There's nothing more Memphis than those two coming together doing this. The Stone Soul Picnic started at WLOK. It was 50 years ago. They were 3 employees of the station. They're sitting around thinking, what can we do to kind of generate a little interest, to promote the station, maybe to thank our listeners for that. And they said, well, let's have a picnic. We'll just open it up. It'll be free. We'll get local businesses to provide the hot dogs and the bread and the sodas and all that. And they said, yeah, maybe we'll get 200-300 people coming out. Mm-hmm. And thousands showed up. And they were a little overwhelmed, but they had a good time. And they said, well, okay, I think we probably need to keep doing this. Mm-hmm. So they continued doing it. This was in Riverside Park, which is now Martin Luther King Park. And a couple of years after it started, Art Gilliam, who is really central to this story, he bought WLOK radio station. Now, Art was the first. That made it the first black-owned radio station in Memphis, and he is there still today, running it, and has always had a really good sense, I think, of what a radio station needs to be. He just doesn't play a list of music that the corporate people have handed down to him that says, well, you got to play this stuff. But he's very tied to the community. Over time, sometime I think in the 80s, they had been an R&B station, and he just went over to gospel. But they've always still had this connection with the R&B community, which is why the Barkays are performing this. It'll be this Saturday. And they've been very connected to churches around the city, and they also have public programming. In fact, when Art bought the station, it had been owned by a very conservative outfit, and the station had been running the Jesse Jackson Rainbow Push program, and the conservative station said, no, we're getting rid of it. So they got rid of it, and as soon as Art came on and took that station over, he says, we're putting it back. And it's still there. It's still happening every Sunday. That show is on because he understood what his listeners wanted out of. They wanted the music, of course, and a lot of it, and they really liked the gospel, but also the community affairs. And that's reflected in the Stone Soul Picnic, which is free. It's always been free. There's food and there's music. And there are also other things like, health tables there. You can go get checkups and various other community-related things. So, yeah.
Well, we're blessed with a really vibrant community of radio.
Yes.
Here, we've got WLOK, there's Weevil and WYXR,
Yep.
and the hip hop stations are all real good here. too. And I just, but that talked about a Memphis tradition. That really goes back, Dewey Phillips and before,
Yes.
just the great. And you know what you said about serving the, not just having a corporate playlist, because I think that's a great point. And I think it's something that a lot of people miss because I could just play my own playlist. I do it all the time.
Yeah, don't we all? Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you need to have a point of view. You need to bring something to the audience, I think.
Yeah.
And man, speaking of bringing something to the audience too, the Barkays. I had the pleasure of meeting James Alexander shooting a music video a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And just an absolute legend. As a bass player myself,
yes,
I was awestruck by this guy. But I love the Barkays. I love seeing the Barkays play. And one of the things I love the most about it, because they play their classic stuff,
right.
whatever. And then I love, it happens every time I see them. I love an entire audience full of people suddenly realizing that Freak Show on the Dance Floor exists and is a complete banger, because that was a hit for them in the 80s.
Yeah.
And people forget about it. And they pull out Freak Show on the Dance Floor and people just go insane. I love it. I love those guys so much, though. So much.
They are great. They've got quite a history. They've got, with a lot of tragedy, especially at the beginning. They started out in the 60s. They were a Stax outfit. And they were basically the band with Otis Redding. Mm-hmm. And then that plane crash that took Otis Redding's life also took the life of 4 of the members of the Barkays. Mm-hmm. James Alexander was the newest member, and he was ill and couldn't make that trip.
Didn't get on the plane.
Ben Cauley did, but he survived. Mm-hmm. And he stayed with the Barkays for a while. But it was after that, and they grieved and tried to figure out what are we going to do. But they had made this pact among themselves that said, if anything happens to any of us, we're going to keep going. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep doing the music and keep putting it out there. And Alexander said, yeah, that's what we've got to do. So he was really instrumental in getting with Stax and saying, keep us going. We want to do this. And so, and eventually Stax went by the wayside, but they signed up with a new label, and they just have continued making music ever since. In fact, they've got a new live album coming out later this year. So yeah, he and Alexander is, he's very savvy about that. He says, we got young people in the group, and we really appeal to young people and surround ourselves with that. So it's cross-generational over the time that it's been there. It just represents Memphis funk and soul like nobody else.
Absolutely. And speaking of generational, I was at the Shell last weekend for the Stax Academy show on Saturday night. There were, that was about as packed as I've ever seen the Shell. And wow, those kids were just, I swear, I cried twice. It was so good. And that's the tradition that you're talking about.
Exactly that. Stax Academy. Oh, those kids are amazing.
Gosh, they were so good.
They carry it through, and they really represent the city so well.
Yeah, and it was so well put together, and just the whole staff there is so good. And they had a technical problem. They blew an amp out in the middle of the show, and everybody just handled it. There was 30 kids on stage, and everybody was just handling it totally, totally professionally. When you get a chance to see the Stax Academy, absolutely do that. Yeah. But another vibrant community that we have here in Memphis is the theater community.
Oh, yeah.
And they just handed out some awards at the Ostranders. Was that last weekend, too?
That was Sunday. Yeah.
Wow. So how'd that go?
Sunday, it was the 41st edition of the Ostrander Awards. It was originally called the Memphis Theater Awards, and later was named for Jim Ostrander. He was a beloved actor. Everybody in the theater community loved him, and he was fantastic on stage. And he died too young. Cancer got him, and but to honor him and his significant contributions to the local theater scene, they named the awards for him. And these are just a way of acknowledging a lot of the work that goes on in the local theater community. And they've got 2 divisions. There's kind of a couple of different levels. One is the the full-time theater groups like Theater Memphis, Playhouse on the Square, Hattie Lou, they have a lot of resources to put on plays, and they really do a great job. But the other division are like the schools, University of Memphis, Rhodes has a group, and even some of the community groups like Bartlett and Collierville, they all got some awards this year. Mm-hmm. This was something else. I think maybe this year, I didn't sit down and do the count, but I think a lot more organizations were honored this year.
It's spread it out.
So it's a broader appeal. Mm-hmm. And there are new groups that are putting on shows, new groups, but with some real veterans who know their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Theater, some friends of mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's great stuff. They acknowledged a lot of the good groups, and then a lot of other people too. I don't know if you know Dabney Coors, but mm-hmm. she has been around for a long time, a big supporter of the arts, and she was honored at the Ostrander. She was totally surprised. She was kind of in shock, but she has done so much for the theater community as well as the art community and all over. Mm-hmm. And one of the big winners was Cecilia Wingate.
Right.
She got the Ugarian Lifetime Achievement Award, mm-hmm. and that is just honors somebody who has been at it for so long and they've done so much. And she, as an actor and a director, has put some of the best work in this town on the stage. Mm-hmm. And she herself has performed. She's been, she's close with Jerry Dye, and mm-hmm. Has done a couple of shows with him, and she got awards in Chicago for her work. So yeah, she was honored this year. And,
yeah.
So it was a good session, mm-hmm. and the theater community. It's interesting because the theater community hardly ever gets together like this because they're all out doing different shows on the same nights.
Right, yeah.
So you got to pick a Sunday night when everybody is available, mm-hmm. and they all come out and have a big party.
And they can't see each other's shows because they're all on the other shows, too.
Yeah.
I hear this all the time from these folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're an actor, too.
Yeah, well, yes,
you know that.
I guess I am. Yes.
That's how we met.
Right now.
That's how we met. You were in a movie of mine.
That's right.
A long time ago. But and so you have a regular gig, don't you?
Well, I do kind of have one. Yeah, it's I don't know how that happened, but yeah, back in 2016, I had an agent who was trying to get me some roles in commercials or whatever, and mm-hmm. She said, "Well, here's one. It's the Polar Express train ride. It's performing in New Orleans. It's a live show, And so I said, well, sure, yeah. Why don't I audition for that? Mm-hmm. So the audition called for give us a minute of something, of mm-hmm. anything, which is unusual for an audition. But I found that old editorial that newspapers used to run every year, which is, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus."
Oh, yeah.
And so I took that and kind of trimmed it down and sent that in, and for some reason they liked me. So I went down there to New Orleans that year, 2016, and performed as Santa on the Polar Express train ride for a month in December. And I thought I'd gone to heaven. I got to play Santa Claus, and the kids. It's always about the kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why you go there. That's why you do it, just to see them reacting to you and to have that moment with each of them, on the train. Mm-hmm. It's a terrific thing. And I've been doing it every year since then.
Right, yeah. Where are you going this year?
Going this year to Whippany, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I know. They've got a train museum there, a really nice train museum, and it gets all the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area traffic. So, it's a big production.
Moving to the big markets this year.
That's what I'm doing. Yes, it's part of my quest for world domination.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, we have been very happy to help you dominate the world. I tell you, this week, what I wrote about was I've been watching documentary, it's a bunch of music documentaries, and I wrote about sort of I feel like we're in a golden age of music documentaries right now, especially if you like the 80s, because there is the Billy Joel documentary that is on HBO, which is 5 hours long, which had some really great stuff and some really interesting information. I learned a lot about, because like everybody knows a bunch of Billy Joel songs, but he's just Billy Joel, right? But I learned a lot about him and everything, but it was also 5 hours long. It's 2.5 hour.
Can there be too much Billy Joel?
Well, I said this in my reviews too, that it was like, I don't know that I need to know about his fourth wife, because she's just like, I'm sure she's a lovely human being, but, just they were both rich together. Yeah. And they decided to get married. And I don't know, it was just like, I don't care, but there's a lot of really interesting live footage that I'd never seen before. He was very open about everything. So if you're a Billy Joel fan, highly recommended on that one. But the really, really highly recommended one that was the Devo documentary. That is on Netflix right now. It won at Sundance in 2024 and is just now hitting streaming. But it is by, what is his name? The guy who made American Movie in 1999. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
He was a documentary. He's done a whole bunch of documentaries since then, but if you've never seen American Movie, it's about two guys trying to make a movie in like Wisconsin, and it's they don't know what they're doing. We've been there.
Yeah, oh yes.
We've been there. That's
all the time. Yeah.
But the Devo doc is 94 minutes or 98 minutes, and it is like just extremely well written, extremely well edited, and highly recommend it because Devo, you think that Devo was a one-hit wonder. In fact, they were prophets of postmodernism. Mm-hmm. I just watched the movie. It's so good. They were at Kent State. Yeah. You knew this.
You're reporting on that. So much of that I did not know. I mean, I loved them when they came out.
Yeah.
Like everybody else. But your description of what the documentary was about was very revealing about who they were and their great impact.
Highly, highly recommend. Watch that. But you know where I'm going to be on Friday night this week? I'm going to be at the IMAX at Paradiso watching Sign of the Times. And I am the biggest Prince fan. Well, I'm sure there are other big Prince fans. But I am the biggest Prince fan that I am. Yeah. And have been all along. And I think Sign of the Times was the best record of the 80s. And one of the best R&B records ever made. And that concert film was like he'd been touring for like 3 years straight after Purple Rain. It was just kind of burned out on touring and would just love to record at that time. So he did some shows in Europe and filmed a couple of them and was going to release that. And then he watched it and he was like, this is not good. And so he restaged the whole thing at Paisley Park. And it's great. And in retrospect, it's really good. It came out like Thanksgiving in '87 and just got buried. Yeah. But it over the years, it had a VHS release. There was a cult following around it, and now, the IMAX release. I'm really excited. I've never seen it on the big screen. I saw it on VHS back in the day, and then recently because it's on Criterion now. Yeah. So I got to see it in the Criterion release, and the performances are just, I mean, it's Prince in 1987. What else do you want to say?
You need no more.
No, he was the best that there ever was. And so anyways, that's what I wrote about this week. If you're into that, you should definitely watch all three of those movies. Deprioritize the Billy Joel unless you're just a fanatic. But those are my advice to you. And and
if I can just step in here too, because I was noticing in this week's edition, Alex Green has written about Kari Wynn.
Such a talent,
man. That I say that kid, and I say that because I knew Kari because he's the same age as my son, and they used to play together. And I remember Kari, who is one of the most extraordinary musicians in town. He's played with everybody. Mm-hmm. And he's a real thinker, and he just digs stuff. He gets it. But I can remember him being over at our house, and I'd look in there, and he'd be going through my records. He'd be looking through them, and he'd say, "Oh, Mr. Sparks, can I borrow this?" I said, yes, of course you can. You can borrow Miles Davis or Pharoah Sanders or anything you want.
Oh.
His mind is always going. He's so such a musician and terrific talent.
He is. He was the musical director for Public Enemy for several years.
Right.
And when PE played at Riverbeat this year, he came back and played with them and started off with, he started the whole set doing Lift All Your Voices and Sing. Is that the name of the song?
I think, yeah.
The Black National Anthem.
Right.
Like solo guitar, like in the manner of Hendrix doing the Star Spangled Banner.
Right.
What, like not a dry in the house.
Yeah.
Oh, brought it down. It was so good. So yes, we got so much good stuff in the paper this week.
This is perhaps the best flyer there ever was.
I think this is the best flyer there ever was.
I'll put that down.
Yes. Yeah. So go and pick one up. We have about 300 boxes and stands all around the city. If you think it's more convenient to get online, you can. That's at memphisflyer.com. And gosh, so we're not going to see you next week. I'm going to skip next week because I'm going to be in Venice.
Yes, you are.
With yes, my wife edited Robert Gordon's documentary Newport and the Great Folk Dream, and it is going to be Friday night at the Venice International Film Festival.
Talk about another fantastic film music combo that's just beyond.
I can't wait for people to see this. I can't wait. We're all nervous right now, of course. People have been congratulating me, and I'm like, dude, I just made some sandwiches. Okay. I didn't.
Those who make sandwiches also serve.
Hey, exactly. Okay. Serve sandwiches. That's what.
Yes.
But I can't wait for people to see that. It's going to hit the festival circuit. And with this beginning, I don't know. This is the biggest film festival I've ever been to. Yeah. It's the Venice is the oldest film festival in the world. Mm-hmm. Mussolini started it. That's how old it is. They kind of defashed it during the war, of course, like we defashed everything, and we're going to have to do some more defashing, it looks like.
Yeah, that's on the agenda.
Yeah, but we're going to start with Italy. So that's where we're going. Anyways, this has been the Memphis Flyer podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks.